Homeworthy. My name's Crystal. Welcome to my house in Chicago. Come on in.
You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
My name's Crystal Blackshaw. I'm an interior designer here in Chicago, Illinois. We've been here for 7 years. We started our house hunt in 1998 when my kids were transitioning into grade school and middle school, so it was a good time for us to find a new home in a school district that we wanted to be in. So we started looking in Lincoln Park. We really liked that school district, but it was a pretty hard search. The inventory wasn't really that great. So we've been looking for about 6 months, and we came across this MLS listing and decided to go look at it. It actually was not in the district of the school that we wanted to be in, but we wanted to just kind of check it out anyway. It looked really intriguing, and we loved it as soon as we walked through the house. It was absolutely disgusting, and that's exactly the kind of house that I gravitate towards, so that I can renovate and put my own twist and design into the home. So it was everything I was looking for. It had the space that I wanted. I loved the location. It had the bones of an 1880 Victorian home in Chicago. So I love the history that it had. It's in a historical neighborhood. And so I was a little sad when we were leaving that, we just needed to really be in that school district. So when we were leaving out the door, the listing agent started to chat with us and told us that it had actually been grandfathered in years and years ago into the school district. So we were excited that we might possibly be able to buy the house. It was still out of our budget, even in the condition that it was in. But we put in an offer and it was sadly declined. So we just kind of thought maybe it wasn't meant to be. We would buy a condo somewhere, something smaller, and we continued our search. And then about 2 months later, we noticed that it was still on the market. So we went back to the agents and said, okay, we don't have an agent. If you reduce, this is as much as we can, pay for the house. If you reduce your earnings as well, then we might be able to, make a deal and make this happen. And everything, the stars aligned, it all worked out, and we got the house. And then we moved in pretty quickly. We gutted the entire house. We lived on the very top floor, and we just worked for the next 7 years, room by room, renovating every square inch of the entire place. So this is the living room. It joins the entryway and the dining room. So it's kind of the first room you see when you walk into the space. And it's a start to what you're gonna see throughout the house. It's definitely pattern on pattern. There's color, there's texture. It's a more is more kind of design. I started with the Murano chandelier. I like that it hangs extra low over the coffee table so that it brings a sense of scale to the living room space. And then I just kind of build up all the accessories over the coffee table. I got this coffee table on Cherish at our other house, and it worked really well with the square layout here. We can fit, like 10 at least people, and usually people are sitting on the floor and on the ottomans, so we can fit a lot of people in this, I'd say, a rather small living space. And then we did renovate the entire fireplace area. We got it to turn into a gas fireplace. It was coal burning. So we had a lot of candles and gas lines from back in 1880. I think the house was renovated in 1940, and then it wasn't touched since then. So we had the flue all completely done. We carried the marble all the way to the ceiling, so it had a little bit of that contemporary feel mixed in with the Victorian stained glass. So I like that mix, of the modern and the antique together. I found this planter from an outdoor garden shop. It's massive, it's heavy. We had to have like 5 guys bring it in, and I don't get a lot of good light because we only get light through the east and the west windows because it's a townhouse. We don't have windows on both sides. So anywhere there's a window, there's probably a plant next to it because I adore plants. I have a green thumb, but if you just don't have good light, then what are you gonna do? So if this dies, I just go to Home Depot and get another one. And also another trick is always cover the soil on your plants, whether it's moss or this like faux green stuff. It looks so much better if you just, don't see the soil or the pot that it's in. We have all the moss. This is a global views marble table that was a dining table in our last apartment, and it works here as a side table. I love all the, different size. It's a composition, really. We have the big, the small, the skinny, the tall, and then we backed it with some modern pop art that I got off Cherish and framed. So you have that, the color and the monochromatic together, which I think is nice. So everything kind of sings on its own. The carpet I had done, which I think is becoming more popular, is taking carpet and then binding it to the size and the shape of the room. So we had this angle here with the fireplace and a very linear, narrow space. So I couldn't find a rug that felt right without walking half on, half off the rug. So I just had the carpet bound to the size of the space I needed. Found this off Cherish, this Empire. And again, because it's so narrow, I needed a very specific sized piece. And so I found this and then just had it recovered in a fancy velvet pattern. I love the, the old with a really super unexpected new contemporary fabric. This is a Kagan chair that I had recovered in this boucle fabric. I found that I think on Facebook Marketplace, and I have an upholsterer, so I get almost everything I get it reupholstered. So I find it, cheap somewhere, and then I find the perfect fabric, and then I have my upholsterer come over, pick it up, deliver it back, and voila. Same with the couch. This is a Jason Home and Garden couch, and I've actually reupholstered it 3 times already. My family jokes because I usually don't have couches for longer than a year or two, and then I get new ones. This one I've had a little longer only because I've reupholstered it. So it's appeasing my need for, change, I guess. This was a piece I found for a steal on Facebook Marketplace again. And it's just a remnant of, that was the base. And then I found the top to match and had it cut and polished. So it looks really high end, I think. The ceiling too. So the ceiling, you don't really notice it when you walk in, but because I don't have a lot of light in the house, that's another trick, is to do a really light color on the ceiling, and it just kind of warms up the space. Especially the pink is really good for your skin, as far as seeing yourself in it in the room. So I did this really light powdery pink on the entire ceiling, and it kind of brightens up the space. And then obviously the inset mirrors in these picture molds, make the space a lot bigger as well. It's a small but mighty space, but I did what I could to lighten it up and make it look larger than it is. So let's go next to the dining room. It's one big kind of space, and so it marries the two together with color. So yeah, let's go this way. So we're in my dining room. This is a space that we use every day for homework. My husband works from home now after COVID happened, and we eat dinner here, breakfast here, everything happens here. So this is really a hard workhorse of a space. I was trying to figure out the layout of how I could have a large dining table, and this can accept 2 more leaves, and seat. I've sat 20 people in this space with an extension of a table, and then just got every single chair in the house to put around it. So I think the layout works. I needed storage because I do interior design. I have a ton of accessories. I love shopping. I pull from my inventory for client, projects, and then I just go out and buy more. So that helps my shopping addiction. I have these big cabinets built for all of my like little tchotchkes, and I pull them out for displays like this table. For client homes, I try to have a little bit of every color. A lot of my projects are very colorful, so hey, I got a blue room, I've got some blue things, I got a green room, I got teal, I got red, I got everything you need. So that's really fun to like go out and source for my my cabinet display here. Then we have on this side is my monochromatic wall. I had so many pieces and not a lot of surface area to put everything. So I had my carpenter build these huge shelves to house all of my mostly beige items, and then a lot of my design books here. And I have even more design books upstairs in the library. And then below is just a ton more storage for all of my dishes for photo shoots. And I mean, everything. I love being organized. Like built-in storage saves everybody's life, I think. I mean, I have everything all in its own separate drawer, and that makes me so happy. That makes my heart feel so good to be organized. And then we have the dining table. I had these chairs I bought at an antique store, and then I had them reupholstered all in a different color, and then a contrast silk stripe on the back, Brunswick and Fee. And they're very like durable on the front, so the kids can, my youngest is 11 and her friends, you know, they're not the cleanest, so this stuff just wipes right up. And the table has a nice durable finish on it, so it's good to go. My stylist and I kind of set this up for a little spring photo shoot tomorrow, and I wish I could just walk down every morning and have this here to look at, because isn't this gorgeous? It's like an abundance of spring. It makes me so happy. I love all this pattern and color. This little tablecloth here, my family live in San Miguel, and they have a store. They make these in San Miguel. So I love getting all of this stuff from all over the world and incorporating that into my designs too. And these are Pookie lights, these little lamp guys. So they're cordless. I love them. I've been using them a lot lately. So you just kind of turn them on with a little remote, and you have like instant table, you're bringing that light down, you know, to the surface. So we have the Murano guy here, the lamps here, we have a little picture light up here. I still need a piece of art here. So the house is never done. I think there will always be things that I want to change and do, but that's not a bad thing. So next, let's go to the kitchen. All right, so now we're in my kitchen. This was one of the last rooms that I just finished. I worked with GE and Cafe Appliances, and we did the kitchen. The reason that it took so long is because I really needed a space. It's a small space, so I really needed a space plan where exactly everything was going to live. I needed storage. I mean, you just need the work zone. You need storage. It needs to be beautiful. I wanted things centered. It took a lot of painter's tape to really lay out the space. And I came down here at many, many nights over a glass of wine, just staring and figuring out how to make this all work. But I think we did good. The sink was over here. I moved it to the center of the window here so that I could do dishes and look out into the back garden area. I did everything in unlacquered brass, this huge unlacquered brass sink. I love this. I love plants, so we have our east-facing window here, and I just filled it with everything. And then I can easily just like water, and it's just easy to do. I have this work prep area. I splurged on this beautiful marble slab, and I did the full height backsplash in it. And then I had my cabinet maker, John, do all of my cabinets. And I love the color, and it's gonna patina over time as well. It will start getting warmer and warmer and richer over the years. So it's almost like a living finish, of the wood. It's walnut and marl wood, I think is the inset. I think that's what it's called, marl wood. I did the ladder rail so that I can utilize the vertical space I just have a lot of items up top that I don't use very often. A lot of larger platters and mixers, things like that. And then I did a little tea and coffee station here. My oldest loves to make, her special coffee drinks. So this is her little area here, and then I can just kind of hide it away. And then this is a hot water tap, and then we can do our tea. I love the integrated sink here. And then we got the built-in microwave with all the storage underneath. But my favorite little part of the kitchen is my pantry. So behind all of these doors, I took everything out of their packages and I put them in these clear containers and labels. And now everything's pretty and organized. I can see what I have. It's only about 10 inches deep, and that's all you need. Just like 2 rows of things, and isn't that nice? Love it. And then I have more of my accessories here, my gold, my silver, my pottery, radiator cover grills, and it looks right out onto the back patio with all the flowers, and it's a happy space. I like this space a lot. The floors is called American Restoration Tile, and I did this design. I picked out the design, the color, the layout, and my contractor and I painstakingly figured out the dimensions, how to run the border, and yeah, that was another late night or two trying to figure out the floor. But I love it. It's like a restaurant tile or a bathroom tile floor, so it's super durable. You're not supposed to wash it. If you wash it, you're supposed to wash it with sand and like laundry detergent, and then like with a big scrub brush. So it's like you don't have to mop it like every single day like I did my old floor. So it's super duper durable. I love the floor, yeah. And that's the only splash of color I have in here. It's bringing in that like Chicago antique-ness, if you so will say, but it's still contemporary and modern. I have always loved interior design ever since I was a little girl. I didn't know that it could be a career. My husband, back when we were dating in 1999, thought that I should go into interior design school, and I didn't even know that they had classes for interior design back then. So I enrolled in interior design school and I got my degree, and then he was transferred to Chicago. This was back in Oregon, where I grew up. And we moved to Chicago about 4 years later, and I jumped right into running my own business. And I started getting clients off Craigslist, Angie's List. I really hustled and built my brand all the way from, I learned a lot of lessons the hard way, but I think that really enriched, who I am today. I've had a really successful career ever since, and I would never look back. It's exactly what I want to do and what I was meant to do. So this is the small but mighty powder bathroom. I went with a more is more theme in this space. We did flip some of the plumbing. We sectioned off this wall because it was at a diagonal. So when you were going to the bathroom, you were pointed towards the wall. So we straightened it out and kind of flipped the sink from here to here. I got this from Morocco, and I like that it doesn't have a base, so that it feels a little bit more spacious in here. I did a marble with brass inlaid floor, a little bit of luxe because it's powder bath, and that's how it should be. And then the elephant in the room, or the bird in the room, is hundreds of Mexican antique feather art. So they are all done in Mexico, and they take bird feathers that they find and they create these little bird pictures with. And most of them are probably from like the 60s to the 70s. And I've been collecting them for a couple years now. I like, some of them come with black backgrounds, but I like the ones with the beige backgrounds. And most of them come already framed in antique frames. So they have like built-in history and character to them. So they're not like brand new, bright frames. I think I counted last time at 104, and they come like behind the door and up the ceiling and around and everywhere. So people like this bathroom when they come in. It's like a fun space. And then you can't find a spot in the house that doesn't have a pedestal. I think pedestals or columns you could fit them in anywhere. So we just have our soap here, and you tuck them right in, little plant, and then the stained glass is all original. Any stained glass in the house is original. So I kept that, and that was actually the jumping off point for the colors in this room. So the rose, colors, and then just brought the flowers into the wallpaper here. Yeah, I like it. So we're in my youngest daughter's room. She's 11, and we just redid this room for her birthday. We used to have little monkeys all over the wall, and she outgrew those. So this, I told her that we would redo the room, but it would eventually be a guest bedroom. So we had it a little bit more sophisticated than probably she would have wanted, but she'll transition into her older sister's room. So for now, it's her room. It will be a guest bedroom. We added all of the molding and the crown and the architectural detail. And then I did this Tebow grass cloth above the chair rail just to kind of give it some warmth. And then we added some visual comfort sconces that look like little pagodas. So I kind of went with a little Asian theme, but it's a little mix of everything. Another tip is if you get a less expensive bed, like from Amazon or Wayfair or whatever, and then reupholster in like a fabric that you like, you get a really designer look, but for half the cost. So I did that with that headboard and this little bench here I made and designed, tassels and fun printed fabric. And then we did a Missoni again with the carpet that you bound to the shape of the room. I did that with this Missoni carpet. So you have that like colorful base, and then it's a little bit more, because I spread the same color around the room, it doesn't feel like overpowering, in my opinion. I found this chandelier on like Craigslist a long time ago, and they had, I think the owner popcorned the ceiling, and they just went over the light fixture as well, and it had this like awful texture to it. So I took it into a place called McMain, and they stripped it and painted it in this like Farambal Babouche color. And then I added some fun sconces to it. It overlooks the garden. So she's got some flower boxes here, and she can oversee the back garden area. And then she's got her little makeup area here. So John built the dresser and this little makeup desk area just a few weeks ago, actually. And so it houses all of her stuff. Kids have a lot of stuff nowadays, so trying to find places for it all to go and not like out. I've been training them, but we're working through that. It's hard to keep things organized with kids, but they do a good job. But this room, yeah, it's a happy room. I think she likes it a lot. And then one of her big asks was a TV, so we do have the frame TV for her. So I can hear YouTube. Sometimes when she puts on YouTube, Homeworthy pops up because I watch it so often. She's like, Mom, the algorithm is all yours. So yeah, she's really happy with her room. It works out. All right, let's go see my other daughter's room. I like that there's space for everybody in the house. For my two girls, my husband, myself, all the pets. We have our own zones that we can go to. We all feel comfortable. Every inch of this house is used. So I like the location. It has a little bit of a backyard and a front yard, so I can, do my gardening. It has a little bit of everything, and not in an abundant way that it's, takes too much away from our lives and being happy, just being together, and, it's manageable. All right, so this is my oldest daughter's room. She's 16. This room, she's really lucky, I think, to have a room this size and this beautiful. I didn't have a room like this when I was 16. I wanted to make it special for her. I want her to return back to me when she goes to college. So I want her to want to be in this room. So I did a silk wallpaper on all the walls. And actually you'll notice some areas that the cats used it as a cat scratch pad. And you'll see some, I try to hide, I'm so mad at them. But what are you gonna do? Anyway, so it's still beautiful. This is the original fireplace, and I redid the stone surround in a viola marble. This is non-working. The flue was too small, so it looks like it's a pretty accent piece to the room, I think. And the mantle is all original as well. I think it's just a really nice addition that came with the house. We have her desk area here that she does all of her homework at, again with the frame TV for her. You know, they appease me, like they let me do as I wish. And I put this huge column in here. I found it in Wisconsin, and I had my guys go out and get it and bring it. I didn't know it was this big, but I'm not mad about it. I think it looks pretty cool. And it kind of hides the AC unit up top. So we just put this like faux, there's not a lot of light in here. So we just did a faux little topper fern up top. And then she has her little mirror here that I painted gold and white. Found this just at like a junk shop, and it was like really ugly brown. And then I repainted it in this color, sprinkled around some, you know, architectural looking chairs that are definitely not comfortable. I don't think you'd want to sit in this chair here. I found this chair for like $10 and it, you know, stuck my plant in it. Why not? And then I found these like cute little birds here at an antique shop, a big box of them for not very much money. I put during Christmas, little Santa hats on their heads. So it's a little, you know, flying bird with Santa hats. It's really funny. Reupholstered this bed. Again, another cheaper bed, and then just added a nice boucle fabric onto it. Same with the little settee. That's like a CB2 settee. And then I just reupholstered it in a cravat fabric. So, you know, the whole vibe is, you know, works with the room. The fish tank so this is the larger of the two fish tanks. And I just I come in here with my coffee and feed them and just watch them. I think it's like the best. I get so much gratification just watching fish all day if I had the time to do that. And then we did flower boxes on each side of the window, so we just still feel like you're a part, you know, with the magnolia tree outside, bringing that indoors, the greenery indoors, I think is really important. So bringing that like life into a room, I think feels good. You know, sometimes you don't know why a room feels good, but a lot of the time it's having like the scent and the sound and, you know, the look of like real things growing. I think that like that feng shui helps a lot with how a room feels when you like live in it. But let's go see their bathroom that we renovated a year ago. So it's the girls' pink bathroom. All right, so this bathroom was actually the smallest room in the house as far as height. The floor, you had to step up into it about 16 inches. And then the ceiling was dropped down even shorter than what the door is right now. So we were able to gut everything and find space above and below. And now it's actually the tallest room in the entire house. I did a mosaic floor, marble floor that reminded me kind of like Roman baths. So it's a really teeny tiny little mosaic floor. And then I did a beautiful pink marble in their shower with a marble column, because why not? And it turned out really nice, I think. It feels nice when you're in here. We did all of the unlacquered brass and then another Murano chandelier. We did a pink vinyl wallpaper above the beadboard and then onto the ceiling. So vinyl is really good for bathrooms. So the humidity doesn't, you know, heat up the glue and make it tear. So then we also added the stained glass to this window. I designed all the colors and the layout of it, and it just like lets in really pretty light, but also it looks kind of into my office, so you still have that privacy as well. I had the mirror and the sconces made out of Florida. This lady does all of this seashell work, and I love all of the detail and all of the shells. I think it's really pretty, you know, the color and all of the little pieces. I think she did a great job. And then I also did match the vanity. So the vanity came as it is, but then I matched it to a armoire type piece for all of their lotions and potions. And it really is floor to ceiling, and it houses all of their stuff. I mean, the amount of stuff girls have, I mean, it's just like chocked full of stuff. And so I can just hide it away, and it's not out on the countertops. And niches too. I think every shower should have as many niches as you can fit into them that you can reach, because they do get filled up, and then they're not on the floor. They're not in ugly, shelves or baskets inside the shower. I think niches are really a useful addition to a bathroom. So let's go see my office next. It's just right around the corner. So here is where all the magic happens. This is my office. This was a guest bedroom. We took out a closet so I can make it as large as possible. I work from home, so I have a lot of samples, a lot of binders and books and materials that I needed to house in this small space. So I needed to definitely space plan. Once again, John, he put together all of the cabinetry so it houses everything's color coordinated. There's all of my wallpapers by color. We have our library in here as well. So all of our books, all of my design books, all of my fabric samples, wallpaper sample, everything is in here. And then I sit at my computer. I have a nice big open desk area, and I outfitted the room in this like Philip Jeffries fabric wallpaper. And then I did a contrast print on the ceiling with a Murano light. And it just feels good when I'm in here. I feel like comfortable, and that's what you want when you're spending hours and hours at the desk doing work, is you want to feel comfortable and cozy. So it's exactly how I want it. I keep it nice and tidy, and I think it works for me. All right, so let's go see the upstairs next. This is the top level. This is the primary level. This is where we have our primary suite with the bathroom and a little wet bar, access to the roof deck. And I want to point out definitely these plaster trees here. I had a couple of my artist friends design and do these a couple years ago, and it feels like you're just coming up into, the tree canopy. So this is the 4th floor in the house. So it does feel like you're going into like another area of the home. I did everything in a bright white. It's a very monochromatic neutral color palette here. So this is east facing light. So it gets beautiful sunrises. I love to get a cup of coffee and come out to the porch here and just drink my coffee and check my emails and kind of like relax and zone out for a little bit in the morning. And then in the bedroom, you get beautiful sunsets. So you get that beautiful red glow coming through the bedroom windows. This is all original banister work here. And then we just did the floors and the carpet and all of the moldings brand new. We did a lucite handrail throughout the house, actually. So it's nice and consistent. I love the modern touch that brings. And then we have our primary bath here, just off the hallway. All right, here we are in the primary bathroom. I think this is a fan favorite for rooms. It's a beautiful space. So we took the smaller room, the closets, and the bathroom and made it one larger space. I did this large glass enclosure. It has lots of niches, a bench, and all of the glass, so you can kind of see through it, everything, and it felt even more spacious. And then we did a freestanding tub here with a little mantle moment for all of my tchotchkes. And then it overlooks the window here out into the trees and beyond. So this is a really nice, calming zen space here. I really like it a lot. And then it has, a little area for the toilet. And then I took this vanity. This was our media cabinet at our old house. And then I turned it into our bath vanity. And I did a little vessel sink on top and then did a marine varnish on the top. So it's waterproof and it houses everything. I love this piece. And I'm tall. So this piece is extra tall. So it's perfect for my height. And then I had this made in India, this little capiche shell mirror. And then we backed it with this like tile here and did a ombre subway tile in these earth tones up the wall. And then a Philip Jeffries silk wallpaper above it. So it's very, very luxurious. I like coming in here in the morning and getting ready. It's a nice space. And then we have the his and hers lotion and potion area. So anything we need, we just have it out on the countertops. And, you know, we have all these little glass jars. Anything I could take out of a package and put into like a prettier thing, I do. But, you know, some things you can't, but it is what it is. This area here, I had these flown in from India. And this is all of our like linen closet stuff. So we have these huge doors with all their like big nails. I love how raw this is in comparison to like all the sleek glass and tile and other parts of the bathroom. This kind of thing, like, I think is what makes the space like, you know, extra, you know, elevated. And then this whole palette kind of goes into the primary bedroom here. So let me show you that. All right, before we go to the bedroom, I have this little wet bar area here, and this is exactly where I come to start my day. I make and end my day. I make my coffee here in the morning and then go out to the front porch. And then in the evening, I make my sleepy time tea and, you know, go to bed. And then if we need any drinks or anything, we have our refrigerator here and our, you know, water source here. So the kitchen's 2 floors down. So if you need to, you know, a bottle of water or glass of wine or anything to go enjoy out on the porch, it's nice and handy to have, you know, something like this here. I love this stone. We had this little cutout made, and I found these and had them restored, these little lion sconces. And then I have a ton of pottery. I love pottery that is signed on the bottom and very like rustic and handmade. So I'm constantly looking and sourcing vintage pottery and bowls and things like that for my house and other people's homes too. I love the amber glass. I think it's, you know, that 70s amber glass that your grandma probably had. I think it's very chic. I think it's all about context. So I think anything can look good in the right context. So I love that brown amber color palette for this space. And then I brought that color palette into the bedroom. So I kind of brought that color palette and the pottery into this area over here. Some larger pieces on this Jason Home wood console that's very shallow, so they still have space, you know, to walk around and, you know, you're not bumping into things. I have been collecting on my travels a lot of like masks or things of multiples that I can like frame and put together. These ones I got in Zanzibar in Africa, and these ones I got in San Miguel, Mexico. And these bells I got, these are goat bells. I was out traveling in the middle of nowhere. I was probably 3 hours outside of any city. And then all of a sudden I came across this gorgeous antique store that was like, it was just had the most amazing things inside of it. I'm like, I mean, the antique gods were shining down on me, and I had to buy something. So I bought goat bills because that's what I could fit in my suitcase. So I found those in Tunisia. We were just there a couple months ago. And then I have a lot of these like African head hats, you know, just really unique things that I just kind of pick up, and they remind me of my travels. We're big travelers. These two, they look like armoires. They're built-ins. We have these like dormers that angle into the room. And I needed storage. I needed like dresser space. So John built these huge cabinets that house all of our things, and then we have a his and hers. So this is really useful, and we needed space for side tables. So I built these little insets into the sides with outlets for our phones and, you know, multi-use phone jack. So we have these really useful little insets instead of side tables. So, and then this big guy here, this is a TV lift. So at the push of a button, the huge TV comes up and we feel like we're in a movie theater, and then it just goes right back down and, looks like a console at the foot of the bed. And then we did, obviously, the Murano light fixtures again on the sconces and the ceiling light. A lot of the hardware in the house is either unlacquered brass or lucite. Lux Hold Ups does all of the handrails and towel holders and handles. And then all of the hardware throughout the house is House of Antique hardware with the glass knobs, even the hinges. I love the hinges that, even they are beautiful. I think hinges, like the hardware, the things you touch, I think should be quality and beautiful, not just, basic. I think go the extra mile for that. The wall treatment, I had my artist girl, Jenna. She it's a water-based paint that she waters down, and then she applies layer after layer to get this kind of two-tone of all these like geometrics on the wall. So you can only have so much wallpaper. So I had her do this like paint technique, which I think is subtle, and it's, just the right amount of interest. This area right here, during COVID, my husband started working from home, and so I made him this little like desk area. I found this little mid-century modern desk, and the top of it pulls down or out, and so he puts his laptop there. I bought him the most comfortable chair I could find, and then I just reupholstered it, so he's happy, I'm happy. And so he'll sit here if he's not at the dining table working. And if I need my space, I don't want to hear his conference calls, I'll send him up here, and this is where he works. And I found this really cute Chicago skyline 70s painting, I think off Etsy, and it was like super cheap. And I love the color palette together, and I love the content of the art. But yeah, it's a nice bedroom. It's just big enough for the two of us, somewhere that we can retire at night and relax. All right, so let's go look at the deck outside the primary level. So we actually just finished this about a week ago. I've been wanting this done since we moved in. This outdoor space is, everybody needs an outdoor space, and it's hard to get in Chicago. So I really love that you have the open sky above you. You can see the Willis Tower on this side. When the leaves are down, you can see all the churches that are around here. It's just very peaceful. We're at the very top canopy of the trees, so you see all the birds, and it's just a really lovely space to relax. We bought a big movie screen so we can all as a family come out and watch movie night, with our headphones, and I can have a little bit more of a sun garden up here. So these are all self-watering planter boxes, and then every year I can pick whatever color I want out, and they change every year, and it's low maintenance. It's been really nice. We have a nice big sectional here. It's from Crate and Barrel, and outdoor cushions and everything. So and the glass railing is nice, so you can see through everything. You don't feel like you're, smothered by walls. It just feels really open and spacious. So next year, our very final, I promise, project, I promised my husband, the very last project we'll do at the house is I want to build a staircase here and do a veggie garden at the very top. So that would be 5 floors from ground level, and that gets full sun, and I love gardening, and so that's my dream, to have my own little rooftop garden. And it's a pretty big space. It's probably 20 feet by 60 feet. So I think we'll be able to do a dining table and a lounge area and lots of vegetables. So I'm really excited for that. So maybe next year I'll have you back to take a look at that space. All right, here we are in my small but mighty back patio area. This was nothing. There was no fence, there was no ground, there was no staircase. It was just all dirt, and you could see out into the neighbors' areas. So this was from the ground up, all brand new. We went extra tall with the fence line so that we have privacy, because most of our neighbors' decks are raised up So we kept our main level at ground level, and then I outfitted the whole space with flower boxes. So it's all container gardening back here. There's no dirt or grass or anything. So every year we come through, and it's usually a week around Mother's Day that we outfit all of the planter boxes, the whole area, with annuals. I always try to pick a different color palette each year. So this year's lavender and white with a little shot of red. I love these, and these like terracotta geraniums in these terracotta pots. The bees love them. They're fragrant. I think it's a nice little pop because right outside my kitchen window, this is what I see, and it just reminds me of Europe. This is a working water fountain, and then we have all of our little string lights. So in the evening, it's just very magical, with the bees and the butterflies and the sound of the water and, the twinkle of the lights. It feels a little European. So I have been enjoying this space quite a lot. And I think the family has too. It's more, you don't really kind of we have a barbecue that we bring out here. You don't really like lounge out here. It's more for me, almost therapeutic to come out here and garden. So it's my own little therapy zone. All right, here we are in the playroom, media room. This space was very unfinished. It was unfinished basement. It was just storage for a long time, but it was a lot of square footage that we could have really used. So we ended up digging down about 2 feet so that we had more headspace. It's hard to imagine. This is pretty low, but we had even lower, and we just had to soffit out any of the radiator pipes. So wherever it landed, and then I just wallpapered around it, and I think it is what it is. But it's a space that the kids are always down here with their friends. We have a big, huge, comfortable, cloud couch, lots of pillows, so they can just kind of relax and plop into it. All of our family photos, a lot of the kids' art that they've been doing since they were babies, and all of their, kids' books. This is their kind of library, their zone. So we have all of those there, and once they're too old for those, hopefully they'll go to their grandchildren, my grandchildren. I love fish tanks. I'm a fan of natural aquascape tanks. So I had this put in for me. We have a second one upstairs in my daughter's room, and I love it. They're like my little pets. They're like little fish dogs. And we did, all of the plants are real, and it's a freshwater tank. And then I have a guy come out every couple weeks to do a water change. But this is my guilty. I mean, it's like a boat. You just throw your money in a hole, but it's worth it to me. It's my guilty pleasure. I love it. And then we have, again, John's cabinetry did all of our storage for our games, and anything that the kids want to play with is kind of stored in these cabinets. We have Legos, all of our media equipment down here, the frame TV, and all the all the collectibles. When my youngest, ever since she was 2 years old, she'd always want these little characters. So friends and family, any holiday, birthday, that's what she would get. So we have a very extensive collection of all her little toys here, and I like the color of them. I think, it's very monochromatic as far as blue and white, but then putting in the shots like books naturally are colorful, and art supplies is naturally colorful, and all of the toys. So I think that's the accessory, that's the color palette. Toys are what they are, and I think it should be colorful and playful. This was a remnant from the slab that we used for our laundry room. I had some left over, so I had a custom waterfall marble table made. I love it. And then we also have the game chair. They begged me for a game chair. I'm like a recliner. Like I don't need another chair in here, but I succumbed, and they have their comfy little game chair. This is their room, so this is all, everything that they need and wanted. That's what I designed for them. So this also leads into our like guest bath, guest bedroom, and laundry room. Come take a look. I do entertain. I love to host for the holidays, and usually that's when I bring people together, or for Christmas and Thanksgiving and birthdays. I like to decorate and style. So it's always really fun to like get balloons and flowers and just kind of like decorate the whole house for like a party. Most of my family is over on the West Coast, so we don't have a lot of family members here unless I, fly them in, or we have a lot of friends that come over, but with busy schedules, it's hard to do, but we do every once in a while like to entertain. So this is the hallway. This was all one big, huge area. So I space planned and zoned off sections. So we got our store. We don't have a garage, so this is everything that I'd have in a garage is inside these cabinets. And we have a mechanical room, and then we have a full guest bath here, and then I guess little tiny Harry Potter guest bedroom here. So this is all organized with our cleaning supplies. I'm one of those people that have like everything stocked. So I have like 10 of everything, and everything's lined up, and yeah, I'm one of those people. And then it comes into our guest bath. So I wanted a 3-piece bath. So it has a shower and tub, sink, toilet, and this is actually one of the few stained glasses that I had made, because this was a glass block, and so I took that out and did this little colorful English style leaded glass window. And then I covered all the radiator water pipes that we couldn't move because they need a pitch to it. Had those all covered up with radiator covers. And then like 3 days ago had this wallpaper put in, which I love. Very like classical. I was in Paris a couple years ago and just drinking my coffee, waiting for things to open up. And on Facebook Marketplace found this and like bought it while I was drinking coffee in Paris, because we needed a pedestal sink here. I was like, honey, can you go down and measure the guest bath sink area? Because I found this sink pedestal that I love, and it was like $100. So that was really, so that memory is like linked, to my trip to Paris. This lighting from Limehouse Lighting, they have very beautiful fixtures. So I did a lot of the Limehouse brass, unlacquered brass lighting throughout. I think it's very like timeless. And then we did the marble floor, marble walls, and I will continue to collect all of these little antique paintings everywhere and just start, keep going and start filling in the walls. I think it turned out pretty good. And it's nice and neutral. So a lot of the hallways in the house are white, and then you go into the spaces, the rooms, and they have all the color and the design and the pop. But I think that transition area between rooms, it's like a palette cleanser. So a lot of the hallways in the house are just white and classic and clean. But here across the hall is the guest bedroom, and you'll see what I mean. So this is the Harry Potter room. So when we have guests come over, or a lot of the kids' friends love it in here actually, because it's like a little den. It's a little snug. And I just went wild with the wallpaper color. We carried the same carpet from the hallway in here, and we fit a little twin bed in this little nook underneath the stairs. And it's just a really, like, you can really get good sleeps in here. It's quiet. Like, it feels like all the noise is like kind of suctioned out of here. So it's a really cute little area. I could have made this into like a closet or a storage room, but I thought, hey, another bedroom. So right next door to this is the laundry room, and it continues with the same color palette too. All right, so here's the laundry room. It's also like a pantry, like a storage as well. We did a whole kitchenette area here. So we have this beautiful marble sink that I had made off Etsy. And then this is the stone countertop I was talking about that we had extra of to make the coffee table. And then we did more of the unlacquered brass with the Limehouse sconces. And we have a little bit more of that stained glass I had made. Wherever I could let in light, I went for it. So we had a little opening here went with it with a little tiny light. We even did the glass door off the back to let in some light through that breezeway area. And then these, once again, John, we have snack drawers for the kids and all of these outside drawers. And then these drawers are actually refrigerators. So we have pork, chicken, seafood, beef, and all of these refrigerator drawers. So it's kind of like our secondary kitchen area. And we actually built that and decided to do this after COVID just because we wanted all that like back stock. And then we have over here all of our like dry food pantry space. So this is all just back stock for dried pantry stuff and, extras of anything that couldn't fit in the kitchen. And then of course we have the laundry machine area with all of our built-ins. I think this is really nice, kind of finishes off, a laundry unit when you can like build cabinetry around it. And then all the Majolica I've been collecting the Majolica for about 5 years. Here's a lot of the plates, a lot of it's from England, and I love all the colors, and it's all handmade, and I think it's just beautiful, like little works of art. So I've been collecting. I mean, they just did amazing things. I mean, this isn't even like a tureen or anything, it's just sculpture. And it's just, I mean, that's so awesome that somebody put the effort to create this and, just for looks. I think that's important in a house to have things that look pretty, but also things that are functional. I think that's a good, balance to have. And I have all of my vintage glassware. I take a lot of these for photo shoots. So, I'll just pull things for photo shoots. And then, I have them for myself too. I don't really make tea in this little frog pot, but I could. And we have the cat and the dog food. So it's a nice, useful, functional space. Okay, so this is my entry. It's a rather small entry. It was bigger when we moved in. This wall actually came out to about here, and it had a double entry like a lot of Victorian houses do. But it just seemed very constricting when we were coming in through two doors with backpacks and shoes and groceries. So I reduced the wall back. There's a lot of radiator pipes in this wall. So it worked that this kind of turned into a smaller entry and then kind of leads you through into this pass-through and then into the living and dining, like overall larger room. For about 6.5 years, I had this done about 2 weeks ago. So for about 6.5 years, we lived without an entry closet, and all of the shoes, coats, backpacks of the family and the friends and everybody would just land on this piece here. So finally, after designing this built-in, I had it done, and I could not be happier. My cabinet builder did almost all of my millwork in the house, and he is a mastermind. This is all walnut. It matches the cabinetry in the kitchen. And then I actually did the unlacquered brass throughout the whole house too, so that it will patina over time. So it still has a sense of that 1880 feel, but it houses everything on the inside with hooks and storage up top. Still have the radiator grill at the bottom, a drawer for all the pets things. So this is a lifesaver. I'm so happy that this is finally in. We did, during COVID actually, in 2020, and we were in lockdown, I was artistically craving a project. I think a lot of designers probably were, and also wondering what I was going to do with my career if anything happened to it. Luckily, it was the opposite, and we flourished. But I decided to do this huge lime wash mural all the way up the stairs. So it's about 40 feet, and then from floor to ceiling. And I ordered all of the supplies off of Amazon. And you have to, I don't know if you've ever done lime wash or seen how it's done, but you have to do it all in one go so that it's continuously wet. And so I rocked this whole thing out during COVID. I really like how it turned out. And I was, debating if I wanted to paint it white with this set against it. and I decided just to leave it. So it's a little bit of my little artistic touch to this huge wall here. And then this was all drywall, and I added some picture molding and then did a mirror inset inside the molding. And I also did that in the living room. And that's just a designer trick to make the room and the space feel larger. And it's also a nice little, little look before you come and go. I had the door made custom out of South America, and I wanted it to look vintage, but I wanted the weatherproofing and the durability of a good quality door. So I opted to do a new door, but in like an old look. And then we did our address numbers, and the Murano chandelier was one of the first things I bought for the entire house. Was all of my light fixtures, was my gift to myself, I guess you could say. I knew I was going to be here for a really long time, so I outfitted the entire house with mostly Murano chandeliers throughout. And we did a marble floor. It's really durable. I don't mind if it gets nicked or cracked, or it just adds character, I think. So I like the idea of like authenticity of materials. So we have the mirror and the stone and the wood and the lime wash, and I think it works. I've been pretty happy with it. When I first renovated the house, I was in the mood for kind of a clean palette, that French, heavy architecture, all white, light wood floors, and then just like really interesting pops of color and furniture pieces, a little show housey. And I started out that way, but it just grew over time to what I naturally gravitate towards, which is mixing patterns and color and richness of fabrics and woods. And it just evolved into what I always go back to. I would say it's eclectic. I know that word's kind of used a lot, but it's definitely a mix of all eras and materials and vibes. Obviously, home is where our family lives and comes together, and they feel comfortable. If they ever went off to college or on a long trip, they always want to come back home. And I love that it's a safe zone for anybody that comes, friends, family. I think that's, what home is. It's just a safe haven. Thank you, Homeworthy, for coming by and checking out my house. It was nice to have you. See you next time.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.